here's the situation.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
The daughters of Atlas are coming to hunt us.
Children stole the power of the gods. You ripped it from our father's core.
Okay, I feel like maybe I should be writing all this down.
I saw the first one, really liked it, thought it was really cute. Saw the second one, also very sweet and sort of refreshing in the ilk of superhero films because it has a beginning, middle, and end, which is really refreshing to feel like you're telling a complete story. And I was wondering, when you both, in your different roles, approached the evolution of your characters, particularly for you, I think actually both of you, the characters go through these real sort of transformations. How did you approach unlocking who they are and who they're going to become?
I guess it's sort of instinctual. Freddy's, for some reason, comes very second nature to me. It's probably the easiest character I've ever played in my life because I feel so much like Freddy. I feel like I don't have to change that much about me. I talk fast naturally. He talks fast. He's kind of neurotic. Wants to fill in the silence with nonsensical comedy. And so I can relate to him on that way. But in this one, you're right. I mean, we do expound upon his internality more, and we see the intricacy of his emotions, and he's more human, or we get a glimpse at his humanity more, and that was a fun thing to explore. It was more of a challenge, but also it felt very intuitive, and because I know Freddy, so that was great. But it was really fun to explore that, and also do it in Shazam, because I want, as an actor, I want to do this stuff. I want to do the drama. I want to do the emotional. To make people laugh is always, it feels good. It's always been easy, but I love to do that kind of thing more.
And Asher, for you?
I think getting to explore the different layers and different sides to Billy this film was super interesting to me, because I feel like it's completely different than the first film. I mean, he's evolved so much. And last time everybody saw him, he was a kid. Now he's 17 and about to be an adult and doesn't know what really his future looks like, and is going through self-discovery, figuring himself out, and being with Freddy and his foster siblings, and everyone's becoming so independent and doing their own things. And now that Billy's kind of finally settled into everything that's going on in his life with being a regular teenager and trying to balance that with having superpowers and worrying about aging out, there's just a lot of things that are happening, and I think it was I really liked exploring all those different things and his emotional range, and that was quite it was a little bit of a challenge for the second film round, and dialing that in and honing on that.
You killed it.
Was it difficult? Obviously, I was speaking to the trio of women, and they were talking about the costumes, and they were talking about how heavy their costumes were. But for you, you've got the massive beard and the sort of like drapey things. Does that help you kind of embody the character, or is?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the costume and then, all aspects of costume and hair and makeup do help you. Again, those are the attributes of the character, and that they help you get into character. And of course, I couldn't imagine Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu's and Rachel's costume. I couldn't imagine how it must have felt, because I've wore some of those costumes. Other films, and it can be treacherous when you're trying to live out, an action moment with all that.
Yeah, the gear.
With the gear. But I have quite a bit that I had to deal with myself, which is the hair and the beard, and then this heavy, so what do you call it, drapes? I mean, it was just, it was a lot in the summer.
Unwieldy.
Yes. It was a lot in the summer to be doing. And of course, you're moving and you're running, and with all that, so you have to be able to, sort of carry yourself through with all that. Yeah.
Right. My favorite part of the movie was watching you and Freddy as like the kind of like buddy cop dynamic, almost like road trip movie, being sort of with him for most of the film. How did you sort of build that dynamic with Jack?
Well, Jack is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, first of all, we have to be thankful to the writer to sort of be able to, get all those words on page and get that sort of like essence on page. and we had just really had to, you know, live it. But given the first that we did, and coming to Fury of the Gods, it was such so much of a invested, emotionally everybody was extremely invested, and in a ways that we were so much more creative with it as well, and so I think. And he's such a funny character. I mean, as a person, he's all that. So it was very easy for me to connect with that.
Don't remember exactly how it started. If it was just Henry Gayden, the writer's idea, or how it started, but it turned out really well. Like with Jaimin as sort of the straight man, and like, you know, the annoying kid with Freddy. No, and I think Jaimin. It's really funny, you know. Like he plays it very serious and straight, but it's a great combination. And you know, the first movie was Shazam and Freddy, and now he's sort of the wizard and Freddy, so we get something new. Yeah,
I mean, he gets a lot of that dynamic, obviously, because they also interact with the Daughters of Atlas a lot, and so they help sort of tease out that plot. And then obviously there's those sort of now famous Helen Mirren quotes going around where she was like, "The plot is so confusing, I don't understand." And I was wondering, even though, I mean, for me as a viewer, it was fairly straightforward to follow, but I was wondering, how did you balance that exposition that's necessary with, you know, obviously the actors have a lot of heavy lifting with those lines to do, and how as a director do you help them get to the heart of what they're saying without getting sort of bogged down in all of the details of the things that they need to explain?
I mean, it is tricky, and some of that you have to do through editing. You know, you show it to test audience and things like that, and see like, oh, is it too much sort of sisters? Or is it not enough explaining? And like, so it is a bit of a balance, and it is tricky because you don't want to bore people with too much explanations and things, but you also don't want to feel lost. Right.
My favorite parts of the film were the parts that were about that sort of human growth.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes the superheroes relatable, right? Is that at their core, they're people.
Scared little babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kids.
Yeah, kids, right? Yeah. How do you balance sort of intrinsically knowing who your character Shazammed is? Because obviously you've got Zachary and you've got Adam playing these alternate versions of you. How did you work with them to sort of create a seamlessness? Because obviously you still have to recognize bits of Freddy and Billy in Captain Everypower and
as you
Every
should,
Jr.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same person.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty nuts that I only have had one conversation, I think, with Adam about how we're going to play the character.
Wow.
And that's when we did the first one. And then ever since then, it's kind of just like, you know, we do the bit, I say Shazam, he steps in, boom, high five, he's in there, and then a wink from off camera, I give him just for good luck. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty intuitive, and I don't know. I guess he just watches and he mirrors, and I do the same. So it's kind of like
symbiotic.
Yeah, we've become a symbiote, 100%.
Yeah, like Venom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Somewhere our wires just crossed, and maybe it was that night we spent the night in the sensitive deprivation. That's what just happened. Crisscross.
Yeah. And Asher, for you working, obviously, you work with Zachary, but not with him, right? So how do you sort of get that dynamic?
I think we're both very intuitive, and we both have really good instincts, and I think that helped us a lot during this process. And yeah, I think obviously Zach's just like a kid in heart. You know, it's this wish fulfillment of him wanting to be a superhero, now getting to put on the cape finally, and I think that's we just mesh really well together. And I think when Billy says the word Shazam, it's like all of his problems kind of, it's an escape to be a superhero and to be giddy about being a superhero, not dreading about saving the world. And it's like he doesn't have to so much worry about things that are going on in his life whilst being a superhero.
Those immediate fears.
Yeah. I think there's that balance. So
you have the scene where your outfit changes, we'll say, toward the end, and that I felt that moment was quite funny because it is bringing the wizard sort of from the otherworldly realm into reality.
This one, in
yeah,
reality,
yeah,
in
yeah.
this reality.
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
that something that you'd be keen to? I know that the future of what Shazam is sort of up in the air at the moment, but is that something you'd be interested in sort of toying with and playing who the wizard
for
is
sure.
contemporarily?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the fact that he had to surrender his power to this, this champion, the choice he made, and now it's in the fear of God, he feels a little more relieved because they've all, spoiled that power in a way, miscarried it
Right.
to some extent, and to have to relive this life experience with them on fear of God's, I think it gives a certain, a type of insurance,
Right.
and so he was quite relieved, and I think that was that.
What was the sort of most because obviously the film's very funny.
Yes.
Has a lot of heart, but also has a lot of humor. But was there a sort of moment where you were particularly moved, either emotionally or like in terms of the comedy of it, that was sort of took you out of the scene a little bit?
The emotion and the organic nature of having to convey to Zachary Levi, his character, that he's a true champion, to believe in himself. That felt very organic, and that felt very, beyond the written words. That felt really, I was very connected, and and of course, so many of us are challenged in our regular life to overcome the struggles of a daily basis, so that felt strong. Yeah.
I think also what's unique about Shazam is that it's a lot of literal orphans, but also it's the idea of people who are disconnected from their history and their ancestry, and everyone's kind of isolated, and in their coming together, there's a healing.
Yes, I mean, Fear of God's really trying to give this understanding that family is not just because you're blood related to somebody that makes you really a family. A family is the people you choose to, that helps you evolve and become a person in life.
Right.
And that is your immediate family, truly. And I think that brings so much heart and, of course, a great degree of humor and humility into this story.
Yeah, it feels, and also it's a self-contained story. You get a real beginning, middle, and end, an evolution of the characters
Right.
as you go through it, which is refreshing for the superhero genre, which
Right.
can also feel.
That's why I think that Fear of the Gods is such a is a film that really has a broad audience that is suitable for. And,
Yeah. I was wondering, so when I saw it, there was no post-credit scene, and I was wondering
Right.
if that was, sometimes they withhold them from the journalists. They're
Yeah.
like, we don't want you to see, but I was wondering, is that actually the case? Is
No,
there
there are two of them. There's
There
like
are?
there's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so we have to save something for the
all
fans
right.
when they see it on
All right,
opening
okay.
night. So there's a special.
Okay. So in terms of kind of that decision, what goes into how you decide what goes into those scenes? Like, what are the little tidbits that you decide? How do you decide to keep those for that?
Well, it's sort of a long story, because one of the post-credit scenes were originally talked about being on another movie, but then it ended up on this movie. The other one is sort of a loose end from the first movie, because I know some people who have seen the first movie will ask about a certain thing, like, hey, what happened with that?
Oh, interesting.
So we put a little something at the very end, like, hey, we didn't forget.
Right.
It's there.
Okay. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty and sort of flexibility about the future of DC.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of like visions or goals for what a third film could look like if that is something that they end up playing with? Because I know everything's
Not
a bit
really. I mean,
shifting.
when we made the first one, I wasn't thinking of like a sequel, because you just want to focus on this movie now, make it the best possible, and not end it on like a cliffhanger or something. Have a proper ending. No, but I mean, it would be cool to see more Mr. Mind, who we teased in the first movie, you know, because he's such a unique villain,
Yeah.
you know, little worm. And
Yeah.
he's voiced by me, and you know, it's like, hey, I want to do more of that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Obviously, you're making this film, and like you said, you want it to have a complete sort of beginning, middle, and end. And how do you balance creating that sort of complete feeling story and giving that sense of there being more that could come? Because obviously, like you said, you
To
wanted
me,
to.
I mean, the focus isn't so much on what could come.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm sort of a little bummed out how with the serialization of movies, where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of turn into TV shows, where it's like, I guess that's more of a Marvel thing at the moment. Like, I love Marvel and everything, but it is kind of like you're watching things like, wait,
Yeah.
who's that guy again? It's like, which movie was that, and what happened there? It's like, and you know, I kind of like when movies are standalone. Like, they can still connect together.